What is going on, Jeromes? Happy Monday out there to those who celebrate. The NFL draft is in the books, and the Vikings have a draft class. They have UDFAs. Everything is good to go. And just thank our lucky start. Like, you may have questions about what Rick Spielman did on day 3. At least you don't have as many questions about what the Packers did the entire draft, which, oh my God. Oh my God. That actually may go down as one of the worst drafts in NFL history. It was just a train wreck. It was good times. But yeah, thank you, Jeromes, very much for coming along for all the draft coverage. We broke our own records. We set numbers and all the other good stuff, and it was a lot of fun. Thanks for everyone who came along on the live stream Thursday night. Man, I respect anyone who does live streams on the regular because that is a lot to do. Plus, we were trying to put together profile videos and get our notes together and cut clips, and Man, all that while talking and just mainly talking-ish about the Packers. But it's a lot of fun. We're back on the normal live stream, 11 a.m. Central Time every single weekday. It's a good time. We got tons of Qs. We got a couple As here. And I guess we can't do a mock draft. Actually, can we do a mock draft? Is there a 2021 mock draft simulator out there? Maybe we'll look that up. But hop into Q&A right away. Jack Ellis, thoughts on the Packers possibly having the worst draft ever? Could not come at a better time. Also, do you know why we traded back from 105? I don't know. Packers 2020 draft. Yeah, it was really rough. Muy rougho. Oh, man. Oh, man. You just do hate to see it. So, getting Jordan Love in the first round. I love Jordan Love. I really do. But what the Packers need right now is not the QB of the future. I get that they're sort of estate planning for Aaron Rodgers. But if they really were fully all in on him for the next couple of years, this is not the way to do it. But you get him, and then you pick up A.J. Dillon in the second round. Now, the Packers' needs coming into the draft were wide receiver and tight end. They did not take a wide receiver. They only added one UDFA wide receiver. I looked it up. And also he's not even good. So I don't know, man. I don't know. Then you add A.J. Dillon, who's a two-down running back, has no receiving skills. Cool. Great. Why do they hate Aaron Jones so much? And Aaron Jones is one of the few Packers that I actually like. Then they add the tight end from Cincinnati, who's not a great receiver. Kamal Martin actually makes sense in the 5th round. And then they pick up John Runyon, who's not good, Jake Hansen from Oregon, and then a bunch of just slappies in the 6th and 7th rounds. Of course, the Vikings know about slappies in the 6th, 7th round. So in a draft where you had great opportunity, just very ample opportunity to add weapons for Aaron Rodgers, one last ride. I mean, just like the Jordan Doc, one last or last dance. The Last Dance. Sorry, The Last Ride was Ray Lewis. So The Last Dance, and then you just go with Jordan Love here when you really did have your chance of choice of wide receivers. So you could have took Higgins. You could have took Pittman. Could have made sense. Laviska Shenault would have been a lot of fun. But then I think the A.J. Dillon pick was probably the worst because, I mean, if you're going to add linebacker help, I mean, you could have gone Willie Gay. That would have been really great. Could have had Jeremy Chin, physical freak, on the back end there. Man, it was just rough. I mean, Lynn Bowden would have made a lot of sense. You could have had your new Randall Cobb. I mean, if you're looking for the Kentucky slot receiver who also played some quarterback to replace, you could have had Randall Cobb. I mean, just having Lynn Bowden do that or Brian Edwards. My goodness. My God. Oh, they passed up Denzel Mims too. Oh, I know. Denzel Mims went before. I can read. It's been a rough Monday. I'm not going to lie. Because if you ever take an Ambien, I mean, there's certainly some lingering effects. All right, so there we go. Back on the Q&A. Abs Abdi, would you rather have Morgan Freeman's voice or Samuel L. Jackson's voice? Samuel L. Jackson. Actually, I want to see what happens when Samuel L. Jackson gets older. You know, what happens to his voice? Because Morgan Freeman, if you listen to Morgan Freeman now, go Visa. His voice, like even Shawshank, and then even like way earlier, it's way different. I mean, people's voices change as they age. Turtle 553. Of the UDFAs in this Vikings class, who do you think has the most potential? I think Jake Lucina has a really good shot. Dude was a legit nail driving center at Augustana for a number of years. I think he's actually my dark horse right now to make the roster. Of course, son of Corbin Lucina. I like Blake Lynch. I think he's really intriguing, and he has a lot of just athleticism as well as versatility. Played linebacker, corner, safety. Also played offense a couple years ago. David Moa, the nose tackle out of Boise State, is a guy that was on my radar that I wanted the Vikings to get because I wanted them to come away with a backup nose tackle. So Lucky Fodu was out. Bravion Roy was out. So, I mean, I would have been fine if they would have taken Moa in the 7th round. The fact that you get him as a UDFA is neat. Oh, Courtney Davis. Courtney Davis probably should have been drafted, and you're adding him in. Now, after the draft, I was a little bit perplexed. The Vikings only took 2 wide receivers, and KJ Osborne's probably going to be only a return specialist to begin with. So you got Jefferson, awesome, but then KJ Osborne, but then picking up Courtney Davis makes a lot of sense now. As well as so the other wide receiver, Dan Chisena, where he's a track star at Penn State, only had like 3 catches, 66 yards for his career, but he's a special teams dynamo and a guru. Could be really interesting in that spot. And that's really about it. Oh, Neville Clark from Central Florida. He's actually one of my dark horses to make either the practice squad or even make a push for the roster as well. All right, what's up next? Mr. Popo, Andy, just want to say you did a hell of a job with the coverage. Thank you, man. May you see more success. Skull from Southern California. Shout out to Cali. I miss California. Abdi. I'm surprised the Vikings didn't trade any other players despite rumors. Do you see them trading players anytime soon? I feel like all the trade windows are closed. The Anthony Harris potentially to the Giants, that closed when they took. God, who did they take? They take McKinney? Yeah, I think they did. Yeah, they took McKinney at the top of the 2nd. I think most of it is closed because the Browns took a safety too. Didn't they? Really doesn't matter. But that was pretty much the only player that was on the move. Maybe Reef. But the Trent Williams door closed. I still think the Joe Thuney door is open. And also it's even better because the Patriots, Thuney signed his franchise tag, so they can't rescind it. So I think that one could get super interesting. Skull Nation, are the Vikings Super Bowl contenders for the next couple of years with this team? Well, if this class pans out, yes, because the Vikings had a lot of change, had a lot of veteran turnover, and this team coming in, 15 draft picks, I think 12 might make the roster. I mean, this is going to be a landmark draft class for the next couple of years. Andy Shong, if the Vikings don't make the playoffs this year, where should they focus their attention on the 2021 draft? O-line, maybe quarterback. Brower Power 00. DJ Fluker just got released by Seattle. Great run blocking guard. I think the Vikings should make a move. He's not a perfect fit for the zone scheme. He's bad in pass protection. He's been really crappy the last 3 years. But other than that, he's really, really good. I mean, DJ Fluker, when he came into the league, was actually pretty damn good. But then stuff happened. Just life in general. Kaiser Helm 14. Are you mad we didn't draft Thaddeus Moss? Well, if you took the name off the jersey and he was, Thaddeus Bartkowski, like I don't think people would really care. But what he is he's a tight end, great blocking tight end, very solid hands, not the fastest guy in the world. He's David Morgan. He's basically David Morgan coming in. So I think most people are just more mad that it's Randy Moss's kid. I was kind of indifferent in general. Like if they wanted to pick him up as a de facto replacement for David Morgan, I think it would have made a lot of sense. Vikings have made use of the not really that big of a receiver, but really great blocking tight end. Look at Klein, look at Red Ellison, look at David Morgan. They don't really have that on the roster right now, so that would have made more sense. But Ryan O'Sullivan, are they planning on starting Pat Elflein left guard, and do we have any faith in him to improve? Well, no faith, but it does seem like that they're angling towards that direction. Where Spielman said that they're fine with Reef at left tackle, but of course, how far. I believe Rick Spielman as far as I can throw him, and actually I could probably throw him pretty far. He looks a little wispy nowadays. So if they do that, I don't see Cleveland projecting inside very well. So I think they are going to give Pat Elflein every chance to win that left guard spot again. Maddox Maloney, what's the next move you'd like to see from the Vikings? Trade for Joe Thuney. Just completely put the Elflein nonsense to bed. Jack Attack 2658. Since the Vikings didn't draft a safety early, doesn't mean extension talks between Harris and Minnesota went good. I think that plays into it. I think part of it also is how the board played out, but also I think they're warming up to the idea of him potentially playing on the tag in 2020. Tristan, I'm very disappointed the Vikings didn't get Thaddeus Moss, but I think they did good overall. Meh on Moss, but yeah, agree on good overall. Husgamer 15, do you think Drew Samia should start at right guard next year, or do they bring back Josh Klein? I say do both. I think Drew Samia is ready to rock and roll, starting a right guard for the Vikings. I think that's his natural position. I wouldn't mess around with him at the left spot, which in hindsight makes a lot of sense because initially I was like, well, Elfline sucks. Why not put in Samia? But even though the difference between the two guards, it's relatively negligible in his own scheme, in his own heavy scheme, where it makes a lot more. It's a lot more important when, like back when the Vikings were running a lot of power. Like the difference between a Steve Hutchinson versus like Artis Hicks, certainly does matter. You want your left guard to be more athletic since they're going to be doing a lot of pulling, especially in like power O stuff and whatnot. So that's why Samia, he is super strong. He's not a liability in the zone scheme, although not the most fleet of foot. So that makes sense why they've worked him almost exclusively at that right guard spot, since that was what he was at Oklahoma as well. Like if you look back to preseason training camp, I actually don't think he even played any preseason snaps at left guard. He did get a couple of training camp reps, but that's because of training camp. David Medina. How many draft picks will be starters and who will be a shoo-in? Well, I think Jefferson will be a de facto starter. I think Gladney will be starting. I don't know about Cleveland. I would like for him to start because as of right now, I think the best offensive line combination on the left side would be Ezra at left tackle and Reef at left guard. I think Dantzler will get in the mix as well. I think DJ Wanham will be a rotational guy. Same thing with James Lynch. So there'll be a number of guys who will be deeply involved. I think KJ Osborne will win the return job. So there'll be guys that will be deeply involved, except not starters. But I could see the top 7 guys getting significant snaps. So Troy Dye on up. Same thing with KJ Osborne. I think Josh Metellus will play a lot of special teams. I'm not going to bet against Kenny Willekes. I just cannot. I think Brian Cole actually might do something as well. So, I mean, the Vikings had so many holes, especially on defense, and having this sort of a draft class made all the difference in the world. Also, let us know where you're watching from. We'll give a couple shout outs here on the live stream. Love you guys. Caesar Augustus. I think there will be issues with Thielen and Jefferson with their roles and skill sets in terms of using Jefferson properly, not plugging him into dig spot and hoping for the best skull. I mean, that's going to be the numero uno topic. I'm rooting for Justin Jefferson. I think that in the right spot, he could turn into a really great pro. But if it's a spot where you're taking Thielen out of the slot, putting him more outside, or frankly, just running a lot more balance out as opposed to too wide, I think that could be in the cards as well, since the Vikings are probably not going to run as much 11 personnel, even as they did last year. But I think it will be some sort of a rotation where it'll be Thielen in the slot, it'll be Jefferson in the slot, it'll be BC on the outside, Tajay Sharp as well work on the outside. But it is interesting. I mean, KJ Osborne's more of a slot guy too. I mean, Irv Smith potentially working him into the slot more and more, which where he was dynamite at Alabama. Plus, you saw it at times last year. I think he played like 13% of his snaps from the slot, off the top of my head. But yeah, I mean, they'll work it out. I mean, Kubiak will work it out. Safaris Sailor, guessing where every free agent left will go. All right, well, let's take a look at the list. Spot rec, free agents. I'm blinded by the light. Statuses available. All right, Flacco, nowhere. Cam Newton, he's not going to New England. God, if no team wants Cam, do you think he might just straight up retire? I think he might. I think Clowney eventually gets it done with Seattle at much less than he was expecting. Maybe even signing a one-year deal. Tremaine Johnson, I have no idea. Everson, he's back with the Vikings. Cordy Glenn. Oh, Cordy Glenn is out there? Yeah. Dre, I would much rather have Logan Ryan than Dre. Like, I understand that Dre worked with Durante Jones as well as Mike Zimmer back in the day, but yeah. Or hell, instead of trading for Thuney, maybe they should just bring in Ron Leary. That would make a lot of sense. I love that Ryan Khalil is still just listed as a free agent. Yeah, good luck with all that. All right, next up is, I keep going back to that. DG, who's the real reason to blame for the Vikings not Trent Williams, Trent Washington, Ezra Russ? Well, I think it was partly Washington being obtuse. I don't believe for a second, the reports that Trent Williams refused to trade to the Vikings. Yeah, okay. You know who that benefits? Washington. So, of course, they're going to leak that to Rap Sheet and whatnot. So, I think it was more the Vikings still had passing interest, but, of course, they did have Ezra Cleveland in their sights. I mean, at 58, you could have picked between Ezra Cleveland and Josh Jones. So, you could do that, avoid paying Trent Williams, avoid giving up draft capital. So, just like, what? Yeah. But I mean, Washington fans saying that they won giving up Trent Williams for a fifth and a future third. Okay, sure. Michael Miller. Do we need a veteran offensive lineman? If we do, who would be great on the Vikings? Well, Josh Klein potentially come back would help. I mean, Ron Leary is still hanging out there. Joe Thuney one time. Husgamer 50. How confident are you in the Vikings revamp defense secondary? I'm really excited for it because I think Trey Waynes had sort of hit his ceiling. I think Xavier Rhodes was obviously in decline. Mac would have loved to keep around, but Dejo was on the decline. Curse was whatever. So the fact that the Vikings are just bringing in Hefe Gladney, Cameron Dantzler is going to be good to go. I mean, Josh Metellus is – I really like Josh Metellus' attitude. I think he brings a jack-of-all-trades skill set to the safety position. I think he'll play some special teams. He'll be a backup safety. I think Harrison Hand eventually they'll make him into a safety as well. So I'm really intrigued with what they're going to do here, as well as replacing J-Ron as the big nickel. Troy Dye is phenomenal in coverage, and he's not too dissimilar from J-Ron Kearse. He actually may even be a touch faster and quicker. So the fact that you got Troy Dye in here, you have Blake Lynch in here, you have Brian Cole. Well, Brian Cole's more of a linebacker than Troy Dye. Like, if you could combine Troy Dye and Brian Cole, so Troy Dye's coverage skills and Brian Cole's hitting ability and tackling skills, that'd be the perfect linebacker. He'd be Luke Kuechly. R.I.P. Luke Kuechly, by the way. So I'm really excited about what the Vikings are going to do in the secondary. Travis Hodges, how likely is it we see Vikings Everson as a Viking again? I would say it's 70%. Just putting it on the table. Zach Hazley, his favorite pick from the Vikings class, and also who had the best and worst drafts. Well, Packers had the worst draft. I'd say Cowboys had a good one. I like what the Colts did a lot. For me, the Vikings, well, obviously I'm biased, but I think the Vikings had the best draft. Favorite pick from the class, just in terms of overall value. I mean, Ezra Cleveland is certainly up there. Love the Gladney pick. James Lynch in the fourth. Whew, I mean, come on, baby. As well as, who else do I like here? Oh, Willekes. I mean, Willekes probably was a midday 3 talent, and he just overlooked because didn't check all the physical boxes. But dude was just a nail driver at Michigan State. The former walk-on, absolute Rudy story. Man, I love the Willekes. Willekes and James Lynch are going to be legit. Abs Abdi, not getting Williams something I deal with. Can't say the same thing about Winfield and Johnson going to Tampa Bay, who we face this year. The Tyler Johnson slide was weird, but of course Matt Miller just throwed him under the bus for having character issues, even though everyone who's ever interacted with Tyler Johnson only has glowing things to say about him. I was like, is his character issue the fact that he grew up in a tough neighborhood? Is that your definition of character issues? If so, it's really telling on yourself. Winfield would have been really nice. Let's see here. Winfield going 45 to the Bucks. At least he didn't go to the Bears. That's all I gotta say. Oh, by the Packers, if the Packers probably could have gone Cole Kmet, would have made a lot more sense than Jordan Love, even though I love Jordan Love. Yeah. But so Winfield here, I mean, the Vikings probably would have had to take him at 31. If they would have done that, wouldn't have been overly upset. But also Tyler Johnson. Yeah, Tyler Johnson falling to the 5th round was interesting. I think it speaks to the depth of the wide receiver class, as well as, I mean, teams just always value the height, weight, speed guys. But the fact that he was so damn productive, without being a plus athlete, just means that he's an amazing technician, amazing contested catch receiver as well. And some guys can just get open. I mean, look at Stevie Johnson back in the day. He wasn't a freak athlete by any means, but he was the wide receiver who always got the best of Darrelle Revis. I mean, some things you just can't explain. So it's whatever. Matt Mincy, if a team offered a third and a fourth right now for Holton Hill, would you take it? Well, yeah. Chet, I might do it even just for a third. Chad Frenson, Tyler Johnson tears. How can you play? He's Auburn picked up 47 picks. I think he messed up. That's a good point. I mean, Tyler Johnson absolutely destroyed Noah Benegene, who ended up being. Did he end up being a first round pick? I think he did. Yeah, he went to 30 of the Dolphins. So the fact that, teams saw all that tape, but they're like, hey, that number 6 guy, screw him. Next up is Austin Kim, who will be our outside deep threat receiver this year. BC Thielen, JJ seems like Diggs was, but won't replace him. Well, I mean, Thielen is no slouch deep. But just in terms of like a true like burner deep threat, there isn't one on the roster. I mean, Tajay is a really nice intermediate receiver. Same thing with BC. Definitely same thing with Justin Jefferson. Even though he did work 10 plus yards at LSU, but I mean, in terms of like take the top off the defense guy, there isn't really one on the roster. Sam Morris. If the Vikings are going to sign Josh Klein back, maybe. It was the newest stuff you heard in Vikings Ranch News, like on Logan Ryan Everson. TBD and TBD. Cody Brown, with the Packers drafting Jordan Love, what do you think will happen with eight-round Rodgers? I still think that there's going to be some amazingly weird scenario where Rodgers gets traded to the Patriots for multiple first-rounders, like 3 first-rounders, and then the Vikings trade for Joe Thuney to free up that cap space to be able to sign Aaron Rodgers. Brett Dyrud. I think the Vikings should cut Amir Abdullah and sign Theo Riddick. Man, Theo was great for a number of years, basically as a wide receiver, playing running back. But yeah, I think the sun is set on him. I do like Amir. Julian D. Giovanni, brand new monthly Jerome. Shout out. What's going on? All right, so we're a couple shout outs here. So where did it start? Timothy Trevor, Oklahoma City, OKC. What's going on? Justin Jones, New Bern, North Carolina. Shout out to the Carolinas. Logan DeGraff, Mount Vernon, Iowa. Jack Kragenbrink, Logan DeGraff, Skull from Ripon, California. Jabrisky, Skull from Trempealeau, don't you know? Seth V. Herman, Skull from Fargo. Northern Colorado, Zach Ballas. Preacher Paul, hauling it for all y'all from Superior, Montana. David Bryant, Skull from North Carolina. Come on, raise up. Right. So what else here? Timothy Trevor. Thomas Hayes, Boston, Massachusetts. Thomas Hayes got that purple check mark. Get yours. Hit that join box. Become a monthly or platinum Jerome player. See, we got Hopkins, Waite Park. We got Rio de Janeiro, Omaha, Yorkshire, UK. Switzerland, Greenville, South Carolina. Let's see what else here. We got Italy. Awesome. Good. Oh, North St. Paul, Sean Ivory. What's going on? Bam, Austria. There you go. Again, thank you guys for making us part of your day. Also, if you're watching on demand, you're a rock star too. Next up is worst Vikings pick. I know it's too early, and also the one player we could have had but pass on. Well, you could have played that game the entire time. Well, the fact that Brandon Ayuk as well as James Prochet taking that picks that the Vikings had and then traded out, I think that I would say Nate Stanley as of right now. And I get it. Our comment section has been flooded by Iowa toadies, just like Nate Stanley's really good. Okay, but I've not seen like one glowing review of Nate Stanley from any non-Hawkeye fan. And anytime there's a player from a school where their fan base is trying to make critiques on him, good luck with that. Actually, I do put stock in the Iowa fans where they're just like, he's absolute trash. Because Man, you would think your team, and then he's the quarterback of your team, and yet you still throw him under the bus. Like you don't have rose-colored glasses on. It's weird, but yeah, even though it's a 7th-round pick, I don't know about Stanley, man. I just really don't. I guess you could say 4th-round DJ Wanham with some other guys like Curtis Weaver on board, but I do think that the Vikings are always going to take more edge projects in those mid rounds, guys that especially with. If they needed an edge to start day one, Curtis Weaver would have made more sense. But if you're going to sit him, have him be a rotational guy for a couple of years, and want him does make a lot more sense with what the Vikings want to do up front with Andre Patterson. Numbers. Who is your favorite late round pick this year? Let's see. Willekes is up there. Willekes is up there. James Lynch, I guess the 4th round counts as late. Kyle Hinton is really damn intriguing to me, where he does need to add a little bit of size. I mean, he's 295. He's going to be kicking into guard, but is an absolute plus athlete. The limited tape I've seen of him, he can move like all get out. Man, would be super intriguing. Plus, I think he racked up a lot of reps on the bench. Yeah. What's next? Ethan Griffith. How many rookies do you think will be on the 53-man roster? 12. I'll say 12. Could be 20 at this point. Tony Chesser. Thoughts on the Bucks swooping in and stealing the hometown talent. Also thoughts on KJ Osborne and Nate Stanley. KJ Osborne could be a nice, intriguing return guy. And then the Bucks, the Bucks have a good scouting staff. That was all. Jabrisky, who do you think was our best pick considering the round they got him on? And who do you think was the worst pick? Nate Stanley's the worst pick. Value-wise, in terms of the round that came in, Ezra, for sure. James Lynch. Let's see here. Metellus in the 6th is intriguing. Same thing with Kenny Willekes in the 7th. Brett Dyrud. What is the point of getting Tajay Sharp if he's just a wide receiver 4? I think he could be more than that. He just got buried in Tennessee because they signed Humphreys to $1 billion. And they drafted A.J. Brown, and also they took Corey Davis at number 5 overall. So I think that he is a very talented receiver. I think he's a phenomenal route runner. I think he gets separation. I think that he makes he gets himself open as opposed to having to be schemed open. So I think that he's going to be a lot more big impact player than people give him credit for. Stanley Morris. I know you tried to be optimistic and honestly have been trying, but day 3, bro, day 3 after the Troy Dye pick was a little bit questionable. It really was. I mean, Willekes, awesome. Osborne, cool. Osborne, if you know specifically, they want to use him as a return guy when guys like Tyler Johnson, James Prochet, Donovan Peoples-Jones were out there. Yeah. Harvey Melber. Second question, am I the only one wondering why we didn't attempt to move up to 16 with Atlanta for Lamb? Falcons had little picks this time, could have easily traded with us. Well, if you wanted a receiver who can't get separation, I mean, we already got a number of them. Oh. I was never as high on CD Lamb as a lot of people were. Thomas Danielson. The draft really exceeded my expectations. Did we get a couple 4th, 5th rounders and a day 2 training? The Vikings right now have 12 picks, plus they're in line for a number of compensatory picks, so they're in really good shape. Plus, I think they could ship a couple of those because they had the 4th rounder from Buffalo. I think they got a 4th rounder from the Bears and a 5th rounder from the Ravens. So, I mean, they could package a couple of those, go after Joe Thuney, maybe move up next year. Makes a lot of sense. Troy Rademacher. Why are they going to roll with Pat Elflein left guard in 2020? Man, if they do... That's rough. Paz Mello, $2 in the super chat. Warmed up to the Jefferson pick. You worried me. Well, we said our piece before the draft. We didn't think that Jefferson and Thielen would mesh stylistically. Plus, we did worry about Jefferson getting off a press. Plus, that he's probably only going to be a slot receiver. But yeah, I'm not one of those guys that are like, well, I didn't like this pick, so I'm going to root for this guy to fail so that I look right. Well, obviously, I want Justin Jefferson to win 10 Jerome Bardys in 5 years with the Vikings. I want him to be an absolute stud. I want him to be the brand new next Chris Carter. So I'm absolutely hopeful. We're going to highlight what he does extremely well. Has phenomenal hands. Has that clutch gene. Is really good at sitting down in zones and really helping out his quarterback. So, I mean, the drawbacks potentially could be there. I mean, I saw a spot where, let me bring that up, because I think PFF their fantasy department projected his stats for 2020, and it's like if those are his stats, like it's not going to be great. So let's bring this up. Let's bring it on screen. All right, so Justin Jefferson fantasy stats projections: 84 targets, 53 catches, 658 yards, and 4 touchdowns. Where for a rookie receiver, it's better than 1 catch, 15 yards. Treadwelling is not rookie Randy Moss, but also, I mean, if those are his numbers, I mean, you would think that BC Johnson, Tajay Sharp, as well as Adam Thielen are really sucking up the bulk of that. But I mean, if those are his numbers for 22 overall, I think fans unjustifiably will be pretty damn pissed, right? Because I think Jefferson, of all the top wide receivers, I think his skill set is going to have to evolve the most in the league. Where CeeDee Lamb can be CeeDee Lamb, Jerry Jeudy can be Jerry Jeudy. Ruggs, I mean, what's Ruggs going to do? Oh, he's going to run fast? Cool. Laviska Shenault. Oh, he gets to do Laviska Shenault things. Michael Pittman in Indianapolis. Oh, he's just going to be Michael Pittman. Jefferson's going to have to change quite a bit in the NFL. I think that he does have potential to start out slow, but I think that if he adapts, he can be a really damn fine receiver in this league, and that's what the Vikings are banking on. But, I mean, if he starts off slow first couple weeks or even has a pretty meh rookie year, I mean, fans really need to temper expectations, really need to not give up on this kid right away. Next up is, where are we? Next up is Anthony Rekindle. Take a day or two in the ice bath and come back refreshed. Impossible. Possible that El Jefe or Tiny Dantzler start season at quarterback 1 and 2. Probably not full on 1 or 2. I think Mike Hughes is going to be in the mix there as well. But, I mean, wouldn't shock me at all that Dantzler and Gladney do get a lot of outside time, especially if Dantzler adds a little bit of size in this offseason program. Like, Dantzler in Cleveland should be full on that quarantine 8,000 calorie a day diet. But it's rough because you want them to be clean calories. Like they can't go through with a dirty bulk there. Let's see here. Seth V. Herman. Have you noticed that the Packers now have A-Rod and J-Lo? That's actually funny. Also, why waste a 5th-round pick on a return specialist? Well, it was a position of need. And if Wanham does work out, or not Wanham, if Osborne does work out, potentially as a wide receiver 4 or 5, I mean, is that decent value? Because also I think it speaks to how highly they think of BC Johnson, how highly they think of Tajay Sharp, because like we said before, if they need a guy at that 176 spot to come in, contribute right away, DPJ, Prochet, etc. Well, Tyler Johnson just sitting there chilling. Yeah, actually, where'd Tyler Johnson go? No, he was gone at 176, so never mind. Oh, yeah, I forgot that I have to now hate Jalen Johnson as well as Jalen Johnson and Jonah Jackson. I just have to hate with the fury of 1,000 suns now. It really sucks. It just really, really sucks. Next up is Nick Doroff. Who should be the next member to join the Vikings Ring of Honor? Greenway or Jared Allen? They're not in. Make the most sense. Anthony Napoli. Do you think we'll ever get a decent O-line or quarterback? No. Never. This is our plight. Next year, though. David Bryant, do you think Thielen could produce at a high level on the outside? Well, he had in the bulk of the season before. So Thielen, say 2016, 2017, Thielen was primarily playing on the outside. Then started kicking out inside more and more because, I mean, just matchup-wise, it was phenomenal. So, yeah, I think he can go back and produce big on the outside. Ellis Gregor, what are the odds that Ezra Cleveland comes in week 1 and starting left tackle? I would say 10% as of right now, or lack of offseason workouts. Or no rookie camp to be impressive. TBD what happens with training camp. So I think a lot of teams are going to go in with incumbents. So Reeve at left tackle, potentially Elfline at left guard. Oh my God, it just hurts even to say. DG. And also, if Ezra Cleveland is going to kick in the inside, you want him to have as many reps as possible. And if training camp is going to be truncated and if there's going to be no preseason, potentially, I mean, yeah. DG, I know we covered about legacy picks. Thaddeus, Jake Reed's son, Antoine Winfield Jr. will be also have. I know John Dale Carson, Nigel Warrior from Tennessee was available. Yes. Max Kallenberg. What do you think the odds are of Cleveland starting day 1? 10%. Tyler, do you think since the Vikings have made so many picks, past 2 years with a lot of picks, next year they could trade up as high? I mean, yeah, it is certainly possible they go Ricky Williams on the beat. Rick Spielman, how bad did you want James Prochet at 201? Bad. The 5th round pick we got never look over. Neves pops off. Thanks for the draft content. You the man. Thank you, Rick. Tori Hansen, give up the grind. I love watching videos. Love you watching the videos, man. Stanley Morris, where were the guards rounds 4 through 6? That's actually a really good question. All right, so let's see who was available. All right, so Stenberg goes in the 4th round to Kentucky, which sucks. I really liked him. Ben Barsh goes in the 4th round. Could potentially project inside. Solomon Kinley is a guy that we really liked. He goes. Cameron Clark could project inside. Kevin Dotson was a dude that we really loved. He ends up going 4th round to Pittsburgh. That's actually a phenomenal fit. Bredesen, Driscoll, Biadish is a guy that we've been really high on. He ends up going there. I mean, Driscoll could also play some tackle as well as we were playing college. Shane Lemieux, Pinter, man. Oh, Keith Ismail, Nick Harris. Nick Harris was our absolute man, perfect scheme fit. Baby Bradbury, but wasn't meant to be. Nathani Moody falls all the way because of the health issues. Owen Wenru, the other Michigan guard, he goes. John Runyon Jr., they have listed as guard. Okay. Blake Brandel, Vikings get on board there. Brandel is a pure left tackle. I don't see him kicking inside at all. I do wonder if he can, at his height, he's 6'7", 6'8", if he can get down and play with leverage that you need to on the inside. I mean, hell, I would even start Prince inside over whatever the hell happened here. Man, the Vikings, this is actually just pissing me off more and more. And then Kyle Hinton, they list Kyle Hinton as center. Okay, I really am intrigued by Kyle Hinton, but in a couple of years, whereas a bunch of these guys, especially in the 4th, 5th round, would have contributed day one, which it still just pisses me off. Julian D. Giovanni, $2 in the super chat. How do you feel about our cornerbacks? I'm not really sure. I'm really hyped about the cornerback room. So you got Hughes, you got Holton Hill, you got Chris Boyd and Nate Metters year 2. And then you bring in Hefe Gladney. I think he's going to start right away. Cameron Dantzler, amazing press man on the outside. Harrison Hand, cornerback, safety, somewhere in there. And then as well as Miles Dorn is intriguing, more of a free safety. But also Neville Clark coming out of UCF, former teammate of Mike Hughes. He really is in that Cameron Dantzler mold. Thin, wiry, long, great press man on the outside. Super intriguing. Next up is Sean Anderson. On average, about 35% of players make the roster, given how many 5 guys are on this team from the draft. Who are the 5 guys making this team from the draft, and who are the 5 guys getting cut? I think 12 of them make the roster. I mean, I know the average is macro for the entire league, but the Vikings had a lot of holes to fill. So, I mean, also last year, look, I think 11 out of 12 of the draft picks have made the initial 53. I think that Cameron Smith was the only one who didn't make it. So I think at least 12 of them will make the roster this year. Julian Wetron, what content we've been making for the next 4 months of the season? There's a lot to talk about. I mean, we got film, we got trades, we got speculation, we have positional assessments. I mean, there's a lot of stuff to talk about. Peyton Miller, what would the trade compensation for Joe Thuney look like? Cleveland, Thuney, Bradbury, well, since Thuney signed his franchise tag, they can't pull it and get compensatory picks. Besides, the compensatory pick window is closing pretty soon anyway. So maybe a 4th. Maybe it'll take a 4th and a 5th, which I would be certainly okay with, especially with multiple 4s and 5s. Logan DeGraff, KJ Osborne will. Yes, I do. MJ23, are you bummed that Minnesota signed Winfield or Diggs, bro? Not so much on Diggs, bro, because I think that was just drama waiting to happen. Winfield Jr. would have been really nice, but probably would have had to take him at 31. Thank you for all the videos you posted in the draft. Thank you for watching them. Austin Kim, do you think we did enough for the offense in the draft? I question what happened at wide receiver. Obviously would have liked to go interior offensive line at some point earlier in the draft. But Courtney Davis, I like. That's really about it. I mean, it made sense why they didn't go running back. They didn't need to go tight end at all. Head coach, who else do you think had a great draft? I love what Dallas did. I love what I like what the Steelers did. I like what the Colts did as well. And frankly, the Bucks, I mean, getting Wirfs and as well as Winfield Jr. as well as Tyler Johnson, I mean, that's not bad. It's not bad at all. Michael Lewis, I think it. I know with the allotment of picks, you could Skull. Yeah, so passing guys like Weaver, Prochet, Tyler Johnson, Nathaniel Moody. I mean, there are certain head scratchers, but you picked up a lot of projects. Brandelson's going to need a lot of work. Brandel is going to need a lot of work. Kyle Hinton's going to need a lot of work. Willikis, I think, was just value that you can pass up. Harrison Ham potentially moving positions. Metellus is a guy that I really like. And then, of course, Nate Stanley. Yeah. Next up is Harvey Melbourne. Do you think Trent Williams had any say in where he was traded? I think the future third that the Vikings, I think it was the future third the Vikings had. I don't know if I had too much for X blood. I think he had some say, but also I don't believe for a second that he nixed a Vikings trade. Like, he wanted to get out of town so bad that you're telling me that he was going to veto any sort of trade. Get out of here. Rosal Chavis. Should the Vikings still trade for Jacksonville Jaguars defensive end that's still available? As of right now, no. Back when the Vikings were flush with draft capital, maybe. But the fact that you're bringing in Wanham and as well as James Lynch could play some edge, plus you potentially have Everson coming back, plus Afadio Denabo, you don't even know. Still there? Nah. Vincent Favorite. Great job in the draft coverage. What's your next subscription goal, by the way? Thank you. That's here. Well, we're almost to 25K, so I guess that's next. Steve Patton. Thanks for keeping us busy the last few weeks, man. Great insight throughout. We've talked about maybe moving to a 3-4 hybrid defense, I think, our draft. Okay. Yeah, there's a lot of position. You'll notice that, especially linebackers and secondary guys, a lot of the dudes are so-called tweeners, guys that you could see, because like Brian Cole plays safety like a linebacker, Troy Dye plays linebacker like a safety. There's so many dudes who have multiple positional use. I mean, James Lynch could be an edge, could kick him inside. DJ Wanham could be a hand of the DN, could be a stand-up 3-4 outside linebacker. Same thing with, not sure Willikis could stand up, but it could be a decent 5-tech and a 3-4. Like, there's so many dudes with positional flexibility that if the Vikings want to run a hybrid front in base, which nickel's the new base anyway, so who cares? But you could potentially see a lot more 3 down linemen, 3 linebacker looks were super intriguing. Max Kallenberg. Packers will probably want to trade 22 and 25 before trade up, before selling 26 to get Jordan Love. Cool. Heimo Kayukin. If Vikings are switching to a 3-4 defense, do you think the Vikings went too D-line heavy and took too few linebackers? Also, if they're cutting Getty, not so much. Because also, I do consider Brian Cole a linebacker. Like, I understand they list him at safety. He played college slot cornerback, but dude is a money backer if there ever was one. So I actually count him more as safety. I think the Troy Dye pick was great. I think DJ Wanham could be a 3-4 stand-up outside linebacker. So no, I think overall, would have liked if they would have gotten Lecky Fodu is like a true 3-4 anchor. Nose tackle, but David Moa in the mix, ain't mad at that. TJ or Brett Durad. Do you remember Stacey Coley? It's all about the U. TJ, thanks for all the great content. I'm a Falcons fan, but I can't not watch your videos, but watch the draft. It's all y'all's picks from a little better, training up more. What are your thoughts? I thought day one, actually rounds 1, 2, 3, 4 were absolute nail drivers, just amazing. And the rest of the draft was very questionable. Lawrence Kindling. What do you think about the Giants draft? I think the Giants did really good, which sucks because stupid Dave Gettleman and his stupid face. Draft. Because they got Andrew Thomas at 4. And then they picked up Matt Pert, which is just really studly. And Xavier McKinney. Oh, they got Darnay Holmes too. Shane Lemieux. Damn. Oh, Carter Coughlin and TJ Brunson. Man. Yeah, I mean, the Giants slayed this draft. They're good. Plus, they got Williamson, another gopher. But, I mean, those first 4 picks, first 5 picks, Thomas, Pert, Lemieux on the offensive line, McKinney and Holmes in the secondary. I mean, Gettleman did good, which is just weird to say. Chad Franson. How does our O-line get better if we only draft 1 high pick in the second each year? That's a good question. I think that's kind of fair. Trenton Canitz, which year did the Vikings draft their heir apparent first, second round selection? Next year? And number 1 overall if they trade up? Aldo Carl Dasso. Do you think the Vikings will appear in the Super Bowl anytime soon? Why? Yes, because I said so. Logan DeGraff, Andy, what would you grade draft grade for the Vikings? A-. Would have been an A++, except for the 5th round on. Minus Metellus and Willikis. Brett Vuvuzela, I think KJ Osborne would be a good return man for us. Agree? Brett, dude, did you ever play for a football team? I was a 2002 Class A state champion in the wonderful state of Minnesota. I wasn't very good, but yeah, I enjoy playing the game. Stanley Moros, how can Vikings feel comfortable with the skill set crossover of Jordan Jefferson and Thielen and not take another wide receiver not named KJ Osborne slot for days? That's kind of fair. I mean, even just like a DPJ, like if you wanted a late round Pittman, Donovan Peoples-Jones would have been it, would have understood, would have respected that pick later on, but nah. Jeremy Nowak, least favorite draft pick for the Vikings. I guess Nate Stanley. Even though it's a 7th round pick, I just keep going back to it. But I didn't like Jake Browning either. I don't like any quarterbacks. Mark Clubb, except for Mason Fine. My question is, do you think they brought in too many bodies, too many picks when they could have leveraged those picks into higher quality players? I get that there's a lot of holes, but no. I think especially day 3, it is more of a dart throwing situation. The Vikings, I think, leverage the board really great, moving down from 25 to 31 to still get Gladney, plus pick up a bunch of mid-round picks. So I think overall they did well. Bryce Kettling, Duke or UNC? It's weird that I like both. So UNC, of course, MJ, Vince Carter, Antoine Jameson. But I mean Duke, like those early 2000 teams, like Jason Williams, Shane Battier, Elton Brand, Corey Maggette, Chris Carrawell. Well, before they got into like the Greg Paulus and Wojo years, screw that noise. God, Corey Maggette was legit. And then he was bad. Did I say Shane Battier? Probably did. Aaron Rodgers, BFF and lover. And maybe a bad matchup, but who do you think will have more sacks by the end of the season if they both start? Afadi or Chase Young? Afadi. That's right, face. Bad boy DJ Fluker, no. Kalen Treasure, why are you so down on Justin Jefferson compared to Jalen Reagor and all the other national media players? Jalen Reagor. Well, I think specifically for what the Vikings wanted to do, Jalen Reagor is a great outside receiver, amazing return man as well, explosive. Plus, is just that deep threat that Justin Jefferson just isn't. Justin Jefferson is a great possession receiver. He's probably going to be exclusively from the slot. He has a tough time getting off a press, but I'm rooting for the kid. I said my piece early on, rah, sis, boom, bomb. I'm obviously going to cheer for every Vikings pick, but do have concerns. And I mean, the Eagles, as much as you're saying that all the national outlets you're reading are booing Jalen Reagor and praising Justin Jefferson, the Eagles had a choice. I mean, the Eagles could have had either one, and then they went with Jalen Reagor there. So, man. Connor May, did any team have a draft better than us? Nobody. No. Get out of here. That's it. Julian Casavani, $5 super chat. Do you think the Vikings are going to make more trades or players for UDFAs? We'll see there. But that is it. Thanks so much for coming along on the live stream. We'll do it again tomorrow, 11 a.m. Central Time. It's going to be a lot of fun. If you want to support the work, hit that join box. Venmo is always open as well. But until next time, Skol, production value.